Somebody posed a really dumb question to me. Not dumb, but it was like a joke question. And it's been like bouncing around in my mind. And I don't actually have I haven't spent enough time thinking about it. It's a silly question about sexual consent, but it's a deeper question about identity. Let's say that you're talking to somebody and you're talking, we'll say like consensual, non-consensual. So like play. Let's say you're talking to somebody in this state. You're on this drug. You're still like sober. You're very coherent or whatever. And they're like, hey, I want to try like, well, we should try, consent, non-consent. And you're like, okay, I'm going to consent to you, like being me tomorrow, consent, non-consent. I'm going to consent to that. And it'll be cool. But when I'm done with this drug, like when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm not going to have any memory of consenting. So the question is, it seems intuitively obvious that the next day, if somebody were to rape you, it seems intuitively obvious that it wouldn't be okay. Because like you gave consent, but you don't remember consenting to it. But then it made me think like, what is our identity? What does it mean to be who we are? If I lose a certain memory, am I creating a different identity, or is my identity something different that necessarily like incorporates past memories? Because it would seem like the person that consented to sexual activity, if that memory is wiped from me, is almost like irrelevant, or it's like a fundamentally different person. I don't know. I thought about that. I read an article a long time ago. It was posted on the philosophy subreddit, but the author of this article, he went on to make the argument that people with Alzheimer's disease, I don't think he said Alzheimer's. I think he said if prisoner loses memory, immoral to keep them in jail. Was this the essay? Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But it was an interesting read. This was like 2 years ago, I think. But I remember thinking about it a little bit, but not much. But it's like, yeah, that'd be interesting. Imagine you go to jail and then you get into an accident, you lose all your memory, and now you're in jail and you don't even remember what you're there for. But like, you still committed the crime. But what does that sentence mean? You committed the crime. Who is you? Who are you? If you don't have the memory of doing it, like, are you really still fundamentally the same person, right? Like, if you consent to something and then you lose memory of it and then somebody does it to you the next day and you're like, hold on, I didn't consent to that. When you say I didn't, you did, but what does I and you mean in that circumstance? Yeah, I don't know. That's just, I haven't spent a lot of mental time exploring that, but it bounces around up there sometimes. Can you use that argument to justify raping someone in their sleep without consent if they don't remember it in the morning? Well, that is like that is an interesting argument. If you do something bad to somebody, but they have no memory of it, is it a bad thing, right? You can say yes for reasons relating to, like, you should consent to it while you're awake, but like technically we do horrible things to people while they're asleep. So for instance, like, you like can cut into people's bodies and stuff, assuming they're knocked out on an anesthetic, and that's considered okay because they're either, well, hopefully they're knocked out. The scary theory is they're not recording memories, meaning they're experiencing it, but they don't remember it. I don't know where the science is at on that one. I'm not sure. I think it's that they're just not, I think they're not conscious at all. I don't think it's that they're not recording memories, but wasn't that one of the themes explored in 1984? If you conform to exactly what they want you to be, you technically have immortality? I don't remember. Apparently I only read the last 3 pages of 1984, according to some unhinged fucking epic Redditor on my subreddit. Did you read it? A long time ago. While I was driving to one of the MLGs, I listened to the audiobook. Name 10 characters? Were there even 10 characters in that book? Yeah. There was Winston, his girlfriend, the guy that he meets that he thinks is part of the Brotherhood, the shop owner. I felt like there's only like 6 or 7 people in that whole fucking book, right? Why did Winston cheat on his wife? Did Winston cheat on his wife in 1984? I don't remember. Is it worth a read? I thought it was interesting. I mean, it's fairly dry. It's not going to be like action-packed or anything.
Good evening. Happy New Year to Destiny. DGG and everyone in Mighty YT chat. Destiny feels good.
Why is 1984 quoted so much? Like, people refer to it like the Bible so much. I don't know why 1984 got so popular. It was like 1984 and Animal Farm were like the two like totalitarian threading. It's probably nice because like it's one of those things where no matter who reads it, you can always claim the other side is doing. You can always claim the other side is doing whatever it is in 1984 you don't like.
Hello.
Um, oh, hi.
Oh my God, your thing about the person blacking out about thinking about Theseus's ship now.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
What is your conclusion on Theseus's ship?
I think identity is really, really, really hard. I'm not gonna have any like. I'm not gonna be breaking new ground here.
Well,
um,
it'll be fun to walk through. So where do you fall on that one?
I don't even have like. I don't have any answer for you. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't know. I truly don't know. The ship of Theseus is basically asking a question of, as you replace the pieces of a boat one by one, when does the ship become a new ship? So if I replace the mast, is it a new ship? Probably not. What if I replace all the boards on the deck? What if I replace all the like how many parts of the ship do you have to replace before you say, oh, this is a totally new ship? And then I've heard people modern day will kind of ask questions related to like humans or technology. Like, let's say you give a human a new leg. Let's say you give a human a new whatever. Like, how many parts can you replace before it's still like the same human? And then, but yeah, that's a little bit more boring because usually it'll have something to do with the brain. But yeah.
I used to think that because humans like all their cells like I just looked this up. But I thought
Every
every 7 years like all your cells were different, but that's not true. That's not actually true.
Well, I think it's every 7 to 10 years. I think all of them, most of them will have replacements, but yeah, different cells regenerate on different timelines. Like some regenerate like daily, I think, and then some are
And
like
like women's eggs, like those cells never replace. They never like
nope. I think
regenerate.
you have all of them as soon as you're born, and then you lose them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think there are other cells in your body that are kind of like that. I could be wrong.
I want to say, is it liver cells or pancreatic cells that don't regenerate? Am I making that up? I think one of those organs don't.
Pancreas or gallbladder, one of those two. I know they don't regenerate.
Okay.
Um, so like, do you change? Well, obviously some cells are still the same. But like most of your body does change over time. Are you the same?
I think that for a lot of these, I think we actually end up talking past the point, which is what I was trying to get at. Was I don't think the question isn't actually do you change. The question is define you, and that's where the meat of the conversation is. What are you? Um, and then
The issue is that like you can't disagree on what you is though, right?
well, of course
Otherwise,
you can, right? Did you
you
hear
get
the
reduced.
example that I gave earlier about like the providing consent, knowing that you're going to lose your memory?
I heard that, but I wasn't sure what the point was of that.
Yeah, so like let's say that I get your let's say that I get your consent to sell your house, right? You agree to sell your house, you sign the contract, but we do this while you're under the influence of a drug. You know you are. You're like, okay, I know I'm under the influence of a drug. I'm not going to remember this when I, get not high, but I'm going to consent to all of this. I'm super sober. I'm just going to lose my memory. If you were to consent to all of it, and then afterwards, the next day you wake up and then, I show up and I'm like, hey, Sejin, I'm here to get your house. And you're like, wait a second, hold on. I don't remember consenting to this. And I'm like, oh no, you did while you were, on drugs. Here's a video recording of you doing it. Intuitively to me, it still feels wrong. Like, well, hold on. Like, I don't remember it. Even if you're showing me a video of it, that feels wrong, which I feel like challenges like the idea of like, what is your identity? That's what it feels like to me. All of this is like very intuitively felt. Tate was released, no charges. Damn. Okay, so go. What do you think about that?
If yeah, I'm trying to. Oh man, I don't think you can make an argument that you're a different person once you're under that influence, right? That
Well,
continuity.
I don't know. Are you? That's the question. But when you say you can't make that argument that you're a different person under the influence, can you? Again, what are you as a person? I think that it's a trick. It's a game to say like, are you different? We're still asking the fundamental question of what are you? And then once we figured that out, then we can ask the question of like, well, are you different?
Oh man.
Like, are you just a collection of all your memories? So therefore, if your memories are altered, do you change? Oh, a really good exploration of this. Fuck, I love this movie so much, and the original is so fucking dog shit. Did you ever see the Blade Runner movie? Blade Runner
Yeah.
2049. You say yeah? The new one.
Yeah.
The good
Yeah.
one.
I
Yeah.
didn't see the new one. I think I saw that version.
That had an interesting premise, basically, of like art, like was the fuck. It's been a while since I've seen this, so hopefully I don't fuck all that plot points up. But like, if the memories were real or false, did that make not Deckard? Did that make Ryan Gosling's character like a real person, right? Like, notice how so much of his identity was essentially hinging on those memories. Like, if the memories had been true or if the memories had been false, like, would that change, like the identity of who he was? I think that's a really difficult question to answer. I think a lot of philosophers that talk about this, and I think neuroscientists too, agree that memory forms at least some part of your identity. Tata's not been released. Gotcha, that was fake.
Soon as you say you, the utility
Memory
of you
forms
actualizes.
some part of your identity.
Like, memories seem to be some part of your identity, right?
Could you argue that your memory informs behaviors, and those behaviors are what you are?
I don't think so. I don't know. It feels like the memories themselves are like, not just because they form different behaviors, but it feels like the memories themselves are probably a part of who you are, I think.
How would that work for people with like short-term memory loss?
I mean, they have very, very, very challenging lives, right? Because they have a lot of problems related directly to their identity, no?
If you have short-term memory,
Mm-hmm.
like you kill a person and then you don't remember it, and you don't remember anything leading up to it, did you kill that person?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of the question, right? What is you? Or like maybe a softer version of that question is, let's say you lock somebody up in jail, but there's like a mind wipe machine. So somebody goes to jail, but you wipe all memory of like the crime they committed from their mind. Like, is it still ethical to hold them in jail, even though they have no memory of like the crime they committed whatsoever?
There's kind of like a Black Mirror episode like that where they take criminals and they put them through like, they wipe their memory, and then they put them in like an acting simulation where it's basically a reenacted horror movie, but they're not in on it. They don't know. And that's their punishment.
Jesus.
And they have to live that reality over and over again.
It's kind of dark. Guess that's why it's called Black Mirror, huh? Bro, how long have you been sick? Wait, have you been sick like 3 weeks?
Since the 6th, 24 days. And it is not getting better.
You dead. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. You shouldn't be dead. Maybe.